Greetings, blessings, salutations, and love once again, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott here on a beautiful Sunday afternoon, uh, hoping to share some fellowship and carry on some inspirations that I was allowed to receive earlier today. Got up this morning in the adventure I'm living, and while I wasn't really motivated, um, I'd been skipping church in the last few weeks, so I returned to one of my favorites, and God bless. Pastor Bryant delivered again, and some beautiful reminders and inspirations in his sermon. Now, I'm not as gifted with the scripture and stuff like that. I won't try to pretend that stuff, but the topic was the freedom from emotional bonds. He was talking about the emotional stronghold, right? That each of us, we get into these points in our lives, and these emotions of ours, they become like a barrier, a big wall. And then we dig ourselves in, and, those emotions, patterns of thought, they'll take control. But so anyway, today, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, is some things regarding emotional bonds and how to break beyond, how to become free of old patterns, old limits. So, where I was going, yes, bless you guys who are already showing up. Happy Sunday to you all. Happy day. There are reasons to be angry. There's reasons to be sad. But, I've said this, and the more I say it, the more I know it's true. It feels good to feel good. And who's responsible for your feelings? Who gets to choose how you feel? Regardless of what the world offers to you, you get to feel how you want to feel, and how you allow yourself to feel. I encourage all of you, brothers and sisters, allow yourself to feel good, even in the darkest of times. Even when society says you should not, allow yourself to feel good, with peace, with gratitude, from your unique perspective as often as you can. I encourage you. It's your life. Do how you want, but it's just pretty obvious. Gratitude is the key to happiness. No one can force you to be grateful. And I don't know if you can even force yourself to be grateful. You can force yourself to say the words and to go through the motions of gratitude, but I don't think you can force yourself to do much. Let me not travel down that path. So where I was more prepared, the thumbnail, man, it was a lot of words. The idea, though, of the thumbnail and the message of freedom from your emotional bonds is to surrender yourself, detach you from the selfish and the bitterness. We've all got selfishness. We've all got bitterness. We've all got excuses and blame we can come up with, but who does that serve? It doesn't serve you. Selfishness and bitterness, it doesn't serve you, it doesn't serve those around you, and it doesn't serve those you truly love. So we do have the opportunity to replace, consciously, intentionally replace, first recognize and acknowledge, accept that there is a selfish part, a bitter part, an angry part, maybe even an untrustworthy part. Maybe those parts are within you, but replace that. Recognize there's a grateful part of you. There's a peaceful part of you. There's a generous part of you. There's a part of you that you haven't discovered. There's a part of you that others sure don't know about. And there's a lot of good available, not only from you, but from everywhere. So, the thumbnail. Release yourself, surrender yourself from the selfishness and the bitterness, and fill yourself with the gratitude and the peace from the divine that allows your body to become the temple of peace, the temple for the Spirit of God to grow, to flourish. And the temple, the body of you, if you treat that as a temple here on earth, trying to keep it pure, capturing and interrogating the negativity, the impure that wants to come in, it's going to exist, but become the better filter. And if we treat our body as the temple for which it is, for God to reside here in the form with us, well, let me not say it like that. Maybe for the Spirit of the Christ to live here with us, as us, leading us to where we're supposed to go. That was my prayer again this morning as I was driving to church, is humbly, God, I do not know. I don't know where you want me to go. There's a lot I don't know. So recognizing my lack of vision and my lack of knowing, I just ask that the Spirit of Christ, the Spirit of love, to lead me through the day. And then I go where it seems most logical. Where would be the most logical place for opportunities to be revealed for, the things I hope for. And this morning I went to support a growing local church and to receive and share, receive inspirations from others. But there is a freedom available for us all when we are willing to look beyond our past limitations, our past beliefs. Oh, freedom from the emotional stronghold. We build up a stronghold and we defend these beliefs. And it's up to each of us to really, really ask ourselves why. Why do I believe in whatever it is? And here, let's face it, in today's society, and more so maybe in the past, politics, economics, religions. Those were the three topics that you can't discuss, at the family gatherings or whatever. Why? Why would politics, economics, and religions be such triggers for people to discuss openly, freely? It's because what society has been doing is we've been forming ourselves, our character, and our values based upon what we've learned about the world. And and if we knowingly have done things that are not right, but we've allowed ourselves the excuse that, well, this is what a Christian would do, or this is what a Muslim would do, or this is what this is what a white man would do. Let me not go there. This is what a Republican would do. Okay. This is what a capitalist would do. And there, my brothers and sisters, I know a lot of men and women who have made excuses because of money. Well, I've got to do this because we make our choices through our lives, brothers and sisters. We make choices each and every day. Until we start paying attention and being mindful of ourselves, we go through the motions, and a lot of choices are made just because of memories of the past. People go through their days, maybe their lives, without really thinking. And I realized, sorry, I stepped back like I was listening, and I've been bouncing subjects a little bit. I hope you're following along. There is a connection though between the patterns of beliefs and our emotional bonds. When we get these emotions, this was my disagreement with the pastor earlier, but um, our emotions don't lie. Our emotions don't lie about what is truly within us. What does lie is our limited thinking, our logic. We'll feel feelings of anxiety, guilt, fear. We'll feel feelings of lack. And those feelings will trigger our mind and will jump to conclusions. And the greatest damage that happens in our society through relationships, business, is when people react out of anger, out of desperation. Um, those things cause damage. Yeah, I've experienced it, right? Anger never serves anybody. There's a lot of reasons to be angry and to feel that anger, to feel that fear inside. There's all sorts of excuses that our mind can come up with. But let's break this down to what this is. What is real is we are experiencing time together. The time just happens to come with different forms and feelings, different information, and different energies. But time is what we actually are. So if you've got a mind and you're dug into these patterns of conflict, or the patterns of life that are being shown to you, patterns of lack, poverty, broken relationships. I know where this is coming from. I know. I'm speaking from experience here. Find those patterns of your life, the patterns of thought. Those are the enemies. You don't have enemies in body. I mean, it's easy to assign blame to the things that we see, to the feelings we feel. But blame truly, it doesn't serve anything. As long as we're going to go through life believing that there's enemies and we got to fight and struggle for survival, that's that's making life harder than it has to be. Because see, what I've been practicing for myself is what the pastors have been talking about. I give my battles over to God. I'm not done fighting. I'm not done living. I'm not done growing or experiencing. But I'm pretty much done worrying. I'm pretty much done carrying a bunch of regret and blame and insecurities around, I found that I don't like those feelings. So that's actually, I think, what the religions, I spoke about this yesterday. The religions point us to the goal. And the goal for each of us is to find peace in the stillness, strength in the mere act of being, the activity of being. And so as we go through our experiences of time, part of growing up just as a human, maturing from a child into an adult, is letting go of old beliefs, letting go of old ways, becoming more independent, more self-reliant, more trustworthy in our own being. That's where a child becomes an adult. So how are you trustworthy if you're blaming everyone else? How are you trustworthy if you're gossiping about everyone else? You know, your inner self sees what is true. And it's really easy in our lives, especially in this society, man. It's got misdirected values, and literally, this society, the American, let's call it what it is. I'm speaking as an American. This society profits from confusion. It profits from you and me being confused, spending our time fighting with each other. But, we got to make money too. So we got to focus on the job in between the fighting with each other. Brothers and sisters, I'm pretty sure this is not how God created us. I don't think this is what God imagined. Well, of course, I don't want to project what God does or does not know, but if I was the creator of this earth and this world, and if I was the creator of mankind, I would not be very pleased with the state and the current living conditions of many people. The choices to blindly obey, to blindly distrust, to push away the safety and the gratitude and the goodness that is all around. Man, I would be if I was an angel in heaven, which I hope to be one day, if that's the role in the transition, whatever. If I was an angel in heaven, I'd be looking down at this species saying, pull your heads out. What are you guys doing? We got all these people. I'm picturing the news in my mind right now, the politicians and the stars walking around like they're so goddamn important. Like they're so we got would someone please before I start going into my mind and my feelers about the state of the world, please hit the link if you're available and willing. Actually, maybe I should bring to the chat. God bless you guys, seriously. And hey, I trust everything. Holy cows, there is some good ones here. To all of you that are joining, man, yes, be the light you want to see in the world. Welcome. What's up, Cynthia? You tell me, don't judge me. I think God wants us exactly where we are so far. But I really, really believe God wants us to stop lying to ourselves and lying to each other. I really, really do. That's the one I saw too. Giving it to God is a good feeling. It's okay. Give yourself permission, please. Give yourself permission to recognize and to go within yourself, within your talk to the universe, talk to yourself, talk to your guardian angels, talk to Jesus, talk to God. Talk it out. When you've got problems within, when you've got weaknesses and insecurities that you're carrying around, when it's just not making sense, stop, detach from the world. Well, do as you want to do. What I do is I stop, I detach from the world, and I allow myself to admit my weaknesses, to recognize that I don't know, I don't know, but I know there's answers. I know there's solutions. I know there's opportunities. All of these things are, and I have just not encountered them yet. Because that's how my life has been. Man, I've wasted so much time worrying and stressing, getting angry about things I saw coming into my life. I couldn't avoid it. And then what would happen is either the solution would be found, or the answer was revealed, or the problem I saw coming into my life actually wasn't going to be the end of my life. Yeah, so I lost touch with my son and my friends, and I lost my career. So what? So what? Life happens. There's a lot of others who have it a lot worse. And as far as I know, all those people are still alive and healthy. So they're living their dreams. I'm creating mine. And I look forward, brothers and sisters. I truly look forward to what might be accomplished for us all in the future. Because God is in the future for each of us, right? Regardless, well, I guess unless you're an atheist, but God is in the future. We get to know God more intimately, supposedly, allegedly, after this life. So if God is the future, what are we fearing? I've been working on myself to convince myself, and it's been true. I mean, the facts have proven this repeatedly for myself, in that everything I've encountered, God has prepared me for. I've had either the answers, or after identifying the problem, I've been able to eventually discover the people who have the solutions. And so these days, I really wonder, thanks, EBT, what would Jack do? My mom said that. She's been doing that recently, asking herself, what would Jack tell you? God bless you, Mom, if you're there. But I truly wonder, like I said, okay, I've grown from where I started to where I'm sitting today. Holy shit. I am damn proud of what I've done. And there's many memories, there's many accomplishments I have made and achieved in my past. Those can never be taken away from me. And so now I wonder, now I truly do wonder, now that I have consciously, purposely, intentionally, I bring God into my thoughts like all day long. And now I wonder, what might God allow me to achieve? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself that. If you have been in patterns of life, for a while, and if you can recognize that in yourself, that you've been maybe dreaming in and living in some sort of comfort zone, ask yourself, ask God, God, if I really had faith in you and me, what could we do? Couldn't hurt to ask, right? Because if you really, truly had faith in yourself and in God, nothing could stop you, right? In theory. And I think that's actually what the messages from the Christ was for. Man, bring that faith and that intention, that will of God within you. Man, there's all sorts of superhuman feats that humans have done and are doing. The opportunity to be a human being, I don't know how rare it is, but to be alive at this time and to have the awareness of what I've learned, brothers and sisters, please trust in what sounds true for you, but give it some thought. Regarding God and your faith, how free can you become if you truly recognized the perfection, the unlimited possibilities that are available from and through and with our God? I mean, if you went through your days being led with the belief that God was with you, that you were wherever you are for some reason, and if you ask yourself periodically through the day, or when questions in your own life may come up, if you actually really have that conversation, God, what would you prefer? What would you like to see me doing, see me achieve, see me try to accomplish? This was a thought I considered not sharing that, but regardless. So there was a point I meant to get to. If you find yourself in these patterns of unhealthy habits, limited thinking, or you find yourself in a bad mood a lot of the time, set aside at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. It's just however long you need or you want, but set aside some time, shut the phone off, all the distractions, and allow yourself to go within with the care, the intention, and the purpose of showing yourself care in this time where you're emotionally challenged. I mean, this is a situation we're talking about. If you find yourself in that place, set time aside so you can detach from the world, detach from the situation, detach and evaluate your feelings. Don't deny the feelings you're feeling. Recognize whatever weakness it is that you're supposed to, because all of our feelings and all of our ideas, the entire world, it is within your being. Your entire life is. We've got a guest. Welcome, John Thomas. How you doing today, brother?
Oh, not too bad, brother. Well said. The future belongs to God. That's that's the way I see it, man. I'm right.
So, hey, thank you. My point with that is we should not fear the future. We should not focus on these gloomy, painful, doom filled predictions. We can have faith in ourselves and in the Creator and in the story of creation that we are. But the point is, if we can recognize God's in the future, then what are we fearing? We should be living. Well, God is for the living. We are living today. So if we live today for the future that we want to experience with God, what could we do?
I know this sounds silly. The one time that I actually heard like a voice, you know what I mean? I was about 10. And I know it sounds crazy, but I was watching Batman at the theater. I was watching that one with the penguin in it
Yeah.
way back then. And I was just looking at that city and all that stuff in Gotham, and I was thinking, wow, it's so neat, you know? But it wasn't real. I remember as I thought that, I heard something inside of me, and I know it wasn't me. You know what I mean? It didn't come from me. And all he said was, I can do that. And as soon as I heard that, I mean, that whole silver screen just came to life. You know what I mean? Gotham was real. I believed that God could make me one of those people down there, and I would never know it. You know what I mean? He could do that if he wanted. I just look at this life like we're actually kind of like in a casting um, for the roles we want to play. He wants us to be able to play all the star roles, you know, but we're falling short. We're you know we're going to end up a what are the an extra.
Hey, John, that is a beautiful description. I used to play the role of an extra. That is what I was doing. I don't know. Praise God. My path allowed me to become confused, to lose sight of the idea. Well, I spent a lifetime without God. I don't recommend it. um, the holy cows! I'm sorry, John. Oh,
Uh,
we. I think you're right. God does want us to play all roles, and we are playing all roles in different points of our lives. Each of our lives, I'm sure, we play a victim, we play a hero, we play a student, we play a teacher, and I trust it's God's perfection being revealed. And the true purpose of our life is to refine our own character.
I
And
believe.
does that make sense? Because you
I,
know the scripture much deeper
I
than I do.
well, I don't know. I mean, I but I agree with what you're saying. I mean, it's my belief we are the angels. You know what I mean? That right now we're the fallen angels, and he wants us to go on back up there, but it's like a cycle, you know, that if we don't do this thing right, we don't belong up there. We won't want to be there anyways. We want to redo it. I mean, that's what I've been saying to everybody that we're going to come back, and if you don't if you don't get these lessons, then you yourself won't want to fit in up heaven because you'll just be ashamed of yourself once God's spirit hits you. You know what I mean? We think, well, I don't give a damn. I just want what I want. But if God's spirit hits you, no, you'll feel the shame. You won't. You know what I mean? You won't want to. Um, you won't want things illegitimately. You know, you only want them deservingly.
John Thomas, I love how you said that. I've got visions of, well, I've shared my goals and what I hope is my destiny. But the reality is where I'm at now. I used to be so ungrateful, so bitter, so resentful. I spent so much time wasted so much time with unhealthy and unhappy feelings. So where I'm at now, I I pray, I hope I fully recognize my blessings, and I may not, but I pray to be worthy. I pray to be worthy at the, of all I've been allowed to receive, to learn, to live.
Yep. It's the love, you know what I mean? That's what makes us worthy. And living
Mm,
without fear, that's what makes him proud.
thank you. That's a lesson. That's a lesson I hope to share. So, John Thomas, that's beautifully said. I think that is what God wants, is for us to live proudly, without fear, faithfully, and not pridefully, but proud of the fact that we are children of God, here to represent the Most High. We are the fallen angels who've descended into this darkness and density of 3D form, but we're here
Yep.
to bring the light of heaven.
Amen.
Welcome, brother.
Greetings, Mr. Talcott.
How long you been? Did you just tune in? You
Um,
catch of the earlier
yeah, last I guess 10, 15, 20 minutes we've been sort of monitoring, over at my Unslavia Fairgrounds. I did
thoughts?
figure I would I mean, you kind of always have a similar sort of presentment and uh, I guess vein of conversation. Not that I don't as well typically. So uh, yeah, I mean, pretty much got what I expected. I was coming over because I'm concerned about as and I will catch flack, I'm sure. The housing situation. I'm concerned about. Again, I like seeing you on here. I like seeing you stream a consciousness, doing whatever it is you're doing. If you get purpose and meaning and value from it, and others do, but yeah, I'm concerned about your future situation, the date that is kind of coming forth.
Yeah, me as well. Me
So you
as
pretty much,
well.
again, just to kind of pick your brain, you're pretty much in a space of whatever's meant to be is meant to be, and you're just going to kind of surrender it to the universe. If God, so to speak, the force allows it, you will continue to stay in that house, or are you prepared to relocate to, you know, an Unslavian type of uh, uh, refuge, I guess you could say. The tent in the public lands. Like, what are your thoughts on any of this? Right?
um, well, the end of the resources is nearing, and we're halfway through the end of the shelter. Um, I still hold faith that either I'll find a way to get the right I'll find a way to create a revenue stream this way, or I still hold faith that there's unlimited opportunities between growing on here. If I encounter the right opportunity, the right conversation with the right investor, then there's that. I've also had conversations with several people who say they want to help. They want to see me succeed. So I'm hoping for eventually some teamwork and collaboration, and all of these things are possible. Lives can change just like that. Plus, I'm still waiting for people here in town. They said they'd help me find my son, and I hold faith that if he, I hold faith that actually if he or my ex-wife or any of the other people from the past, if they actually stopped to look at who I'm showing myself to be, I think people will wake up. And Paul, I swear, man, I got no fears about myself. If I'm wrong, I've been playing this out too. If I'm wrong and nothing changes, I've gambled it all in faith of God. And so if I end up in the streets, I've I shared this earlier in the stream. I've realized that God has always prepared me for whatever came up. So if I end up in the streets with nothing, I know how to be happy and I know how to survive. So I'll figure it out.
Right. And hopefully, you know, the same folks who were all around you who shit on and insulted Brian O'Shea won't treat you the same way if that eventuality comes about.
Have you seen how they treat me now? I mean,
Wow. I mean, typically over here, they're pretty deferent to what it is that they think that you think and feel. You know, they kind of get a read on you and what you're into and not, and they kind of stay away from the stuff that they think is going to trigger you. But yeah, it's sort of a double standard in a way because you're the broadcast host. You know, they're not going to seemingly hold you to the same standard as they will someone appearing, such as Brian O'Shea, especially since he is, of course, officially branded by the King of Unslavia. That's the narrative, right? He's an
well,
Unslavian.
hey, you know, I recognize I could have played that interchange differently. I recognize that. I could have been more kind and understanding and encouraging of Brian O'Shea, but what he was doing was clear and obvious. He was over here trying to brag, to show off, and to impress daddy.
Well, I
And as
mean,
a
he did
grown
kind of.
man trying to impress you, it's like, come on, man, what the fuck?
Well, I didn't actually see it. He did kind of, I guess, if you want to call it, cop to it. He said, because I asked him, I said, I didn't see all of it. I saw pieces of it. And I asked him, what would compel you to go over there and seek some kind of validation about this walk when these folks, the majority of them, are not engaged in it? And they're not going to see the value of it. You put yourself in a position to get shit on. So
He was
whether he was bragging for his own purposes or to impress me makes no sense. I mean, if he was going to do that, I'd have a list of ways he could do that better than coming here and essentially letting himself be made a fool of.
people do unusual and illogical things. You're included in that, and Brian O'Shea is. And sure, myself as well. That's part of this human experience. Sometimes we get in our emotions, whether it's, you know, seeking external attention and validation, or we get into our feelers and we don't think. And
Don't judge me down there, Jack says, wondering how many bedrooms you have.
oh,
Says you can move her in.
you know, I've considered trying to rent it out. I've invited people to move in and to share expenses, but my life is what it is. And I've said it, and you know, people don't maybe underestimate it, but I'm not exaggerating when I say for the majority, people have not cooperated with me since 2018. Since I found God, people have not trusted me. It's been crazy.
Well, I mean, I've spoken on what my perspective is, whether I catch shit for it or not. I can't do anything other than speak on a perspective that is near and dear to me in a sense, because we are oneself, and I have had the same exact experience in my own way. It's not exactly from what I perceive that you found God that causes the resistance and issue. It's the communication of that experience that creates an insecurity or a gap in communication with other folks. They're not easily able to relate to you Um, and I think part of that is their lack of that experience. Part of it is you haven't quite got your uh, understanding of self either down or languaged out to where you could speak to people where they're at, if that makes sense. And again, not to say that I do. I'm just, giving you the mirror. It doesn't mean that I'm exempt from all that sort of, if you want to call it, criticism.
Hey, Paul, that's a lesson I've learned, and you're right. That was the issue. But I yelled at people because they didn't understand, because I was not communicating effectively. I mean, I assumed the responsibility. I yelled at them for not being able to understand me, and it wasn't their fault. That was fucking years ago, dude. I'm not to be blamed for the past several years of their excommunication of me.
Yeah, if we're really being kind of centered and authentic and honest with ourselves, the behavior has continued. I don't know what the extent of it was in the past, but I'm not saying there hasn't been progress. I wasn't with you. I don't know Jack Talcott 3 to 5 years ago versus what I've seen over time here, but there's definitely still. I don't. We're here now, as you like to say. So now is now, but up to recently, we've seen some of the emotional kind of reactivity and inability seemingly to reconcile and move forward. Whether we want to argue I'm the cause of that or whatever else, it doesn't change the fact that if we're going to end wars, they got to start close to home, right? So if that's the common theme in your life, which you say it is, then you're the common denominator. You got to look at that, you know?
I have. And you're right. And thank you. You've, I don't know if you clearly said it, but you've said it before. You've seen growth, and I have been growing. The the thing is I have looked at me very, very deeply, and I've been working on me alone. and and I'm improving on my communication. I'm improving on my temperaments. And I'm not in this alone, though. Okay. I'm not to be blamed. The fact that my friends and family have not even interacted with me after they spent 30 years, my son, his lifetime. I mean, all these people know me, supposedly, but they here's the deal, Paul. You are my younger brother, as far as I can tell, man. You and I have so many similarities where we've lived very different lives. But man, I've seen your heart. I've seen your strength. I just, what I have been looking for is someone to help me communicate with others. But it doesn't change. It doesn't change what I know to be true and what I believe. What I know to be true is that humanity is corrupted because secrets and lies have been enabled. And I know that the truth will end wage slavery and will create a path to end the wars. So I think we're supposed to change the world.
Yeah, but again, we're back to the cliche. We loop this over and over, right? I mean, the only way to change the world is change self in all ways possible, it would seem to me, right? So again, it just comes back to me the concern of, while I believe that your intentions and motives and results that you want are pure or beneficial to all in a sense, I'm concerned that you're focusing on something bigger than what you can handle, which will cause you to neglect the things you can control, such as that house and, the upkeep of your life and lifestyle.
Upkeep of my life and lifestyle, absolutely. So I believe my time is better spent continuing this path, and when I'm not on this path, I'm pursuing other things, right? Related and unrelated to this path. But the house, we are all we have a paradox. There's an independence and there's a self responsibility, but then there is also the fact that no one succeeds or fails on their own. Simple as that. We are all responsible for the success and failure of those around us.
No, I don't, I can't agree with that, just because I've seen in my own life, successes in certain arenas that I never would have thought possible for myself. And I've seen sickness and twisted failure and brokenness that I wish wasn't possible at one point. And seemingly the only common denominator there was my thoughts, emotions, and actions, or inactions. So I can't claim that anyone else was responsible for my failure or my success other than I. You could have built a lemonade stand and gave it to me and I would have fucked it up.
Well, the I, though, each of us, we are created by all of those from our past, good and bad. They gave us examples and information to either receive and absorb for ourselves or to reject. We are the result of all others we've encountered.
Right, but then there comes a point, especially with age of reason, the ability to reason, where we go through the reformation process. So you're right. At a certain point, we become aware that we are a result of all the things we've experienced, and then we make a choice to create a beingness that is beyond the worldly experience, if that makes sense. So again, there's a fine line, and this is where we always get in the arguments with our parents of, well, you can't blame the parents. You got to take responsibility. Yes and no. At a certain point, you're the age of reason. You got to change your life and become and do better than them to break the cycle. Doesn't mean there isn't a healthy amount of culpability to be taken by those beings for their own good, to accept why that being was the way they were, right? They want to blame the child instead of say there's culpability all around, right? You can't blame others once you're a man for why you are the way you are and continue to be that way just because your parents were broken and dissolute. You just
Agreed.
got to do better than them and be better.
Absolutely agreed. That is that's a common trait. I mean, I see people with gray hair blaming patterns of behavior because of an experience as a child, and it's like, some point you got to detach from that. You got to move past the past, and actually, that's kind of the idea. I know I explained it poorly, or I feel like I explained it poorly, but the idea of breaking out of the emotional strongholds, our defensive positions. We can adapt and grow, but there is, in the spiritual aspect, there is a lot of freedom to be found in surrender. Surrender to the greater spirit and surrender to the all that is. Right now, I mean, Paul, you were asking about my future. My future is uncertain. It's I've been learning to live like this since 2018. You know, no income, no real security, but I've convinced myself to surrender to the reality that I'm living, to continue to move forward with the belief that I can succeed. and have faith.
Brother, I think actually if you ended up on the street and it's turned into camping without fear, you'd go totally viral if you could manage to keep up that same, positive upbeat. I wouldn't even.
It might. I hold faith though. I mean, the scripture has a lot of references that, uh, what was the advice I shared earlier? Oh, the faithful are here to endure. And allegedly or in whatever method that means, it also says the faithful will be rewarded with blessings. Well, what is blessings? What is a reward? It's all perspective, and it's all just different states of experience. So who knows? I feel within me, I feel the feelings of blessed. I feel blessed to be who I am at this crazy point on earth. Dude, there's a lot of insanity, violence, just absolute suffering and despair that's going on in this world right now. So we're sharing the same time, but praise God. Praise God. God allows me to be who
Don
I
Juan
am,
DeMarco's
who
doing
we
some
are.
kind of slander down there. I don't know who he's talking about.
I'm sorry, what?
He's saying somebody took the jab, or creatures who push the jab. I don't know what he's saying down there. If Don Juan DeMarco would like to come up.
It's regarding another viewer. It's
Oh,
well,
Good evening, gentlemen.
Yeah, hey, welcome, Scott. How you doing, brother?
Good. How you doing?
Feeling blessed.
Feeling blessed. Just remember, Jack, the faith without works kind of is like unrequited love. Well, I think I'm messing that one all the fuck up. Unrequited love. I think I'm still messing it up. Paul, can I go to you, Thesaurus?
Unrequited love, Scott.
Unrequited. Thank you very much. I've been out in the hot sun kind of today in Florida and fucking a little bit drained working outside. So, yeah, the whole works part of it, Jack. If I'm correct, Paul was saying something to the effect of your impending date of having to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
Faith is a wonderful thing. I love it, and I think that's the sound foundation of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It is, but
Mm-hmm.
certainly we got to figure things out because the Sky Daddy won't for us
Yep.
in many cases. So,
mm-hmm. What's your point, Scott? What are you saying?
I think you were mentioning that you had some people that wanted to put things together. I'm just wondering where you're going with that, what you're wanting to put together. We've talked on a couple of occasions about managing to put something that has some sort of organization around it. Is that something that you're wanting to do? Organize some sort of Jack Talcott event, not non-event, if you will, with Paul here, but not necessarily event, a Jack Talcott experience. What are you going to do forward going, to bring Jack Talcott to the world? If you're going to go worldwide, what are we going to do?
could have like a parade or something. Live
So,
without
Scott,
fear parade.
Scott, you've been saying a lot of shit, and I know what you're trying to say. You're not seeing the actions I have been taking. My actions are inadequate to you for some reason.
No,
Do you have any questions about my actions? Instead of assuming I need to hear that faith without works is like unrequited love.
Let's do some shit is what I'm saying. Like doing it is what you need to think about, not talking about it. Now, I'm not trying to kick sand on it.
Hey, Scott.
Stop for a second. You ask people to help you, and I'm saying, look, Paul here is actually probably one of your biggest fans.
You're a fucking liar, Scott. Oh, wait, fans? Okay, let me please forgive my reaction. I thought you were here to gaslight, but you might be right. I think Paul is a fan, but he's
Slow
not a
down, Jack.
supporter.
Slow down. Oh, I didn't say that. And he has. I've seen him support you too. He's giving you money, so you can't say that. He's a supporter.
Fair enough. Thank you.
So now, what he is also though is the antagonist to what you see as a protagonist and yourself. That's not
Right.
always a bad thing in a story.
I know. I've got a lot of people who have chosen to play that fucking role, and I don't know why.
Well, they want to see the best in you, maybe.
Do they? Or do they want to see themselves superior to me and actually want to see me fail? Because I saw Paul and OTW make a big deal about a big campaign. Make sure to unsubscribe, unfollow. While I think I've been clear that one of the paths I thought I still believe is possible to save my home is for somehow for me to find a way, should God allow, the right way to deliver the right content, the right messages, in the right format. And if God will allow me a way to do that, I'm sure the world will reward and I'll be able to be debt free and own my life again.
One thing I think I've learned about God is when the world singles you out and they all come up with this like notion that, well, not that guy, not Jack Talcott. All you're doing is telling God who needs it to a friend. You know what I mean? At that point. And that, I mean, it always will backfire every time when the world does that to you. Every time.
Jack, if you've got 1,000,000 people against you and you acknowledge one of them, you actually derail your own energy. You derail yourself. Now, if you take your energy that's moving you forward, that put 1,000,000 people in opposition to you, and you keep going with that, the people that are not opposed to you will still be with you. But as you recognize the opposition and start trying to attack back, you lose your ground. Because what are you moving forward for if you're just going to step backwards into something that doesn't make sense?
You're not making a lot of sense to me, Scott.
Why are
I'm
you
not sure
fighting
what you-
people that don't know you, that don't really know what you're trying to do? Why are you giving them
Who do you
credence?
see me fighting?
You're saying that people don't really support you, that they don't really believe in you, they want to put you down. So acknowledging that, my suggestion is, well, it's there, and you might want to say, hey, thanks for the compliment, even though it was sideways or not a compliment. Just move on for it, because I think that
Yeah, hey Scott, that's real easy for you to say from your position not involved with my life. That's
my
real
point
simple
is,
for you to
Jack,
say.
you'll find a way forward quicker, and
Yeah,
you'll find
I
your
know.
targets easier if you don't get derailed on some of the
Hey,
bullshit.
Scott, I know. But here's something else. Part of the bullshit. I mean, here's my reality. My name is Jack Talcott. This stream is Chats with Jack. The idea is for me to be able to share some of the things I've learned in this life, because while you might not see it, Scott, I feel like I'm offering some value, some inspiration, some encouragement. And for whatever reason, yep, the world and Christians love to tell me this. Well, you follow that, they're going to attack the Christians. Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to stand by and do nothing or enable it or not help me end the disagreements and the conflicts. But this is what's amazing. Yes, I envision a world of peace for us all in the future. Why does everyone think I need to be attacked and prepared when I'm not claiming to be able to do this alone? All of my goals, all of my dreams include the participation of others who I can't believe it's been so hard to find other people who are fed up with the way the world is, but who also have faith that we can do something about it. God will allow me the right audience and the right conversation with someone at some point. And Paul, you are welcome. I believe if you and I can find a way to communicate with each other, holy shit, who knows, man?
Yeah, I don't necessarily believe that us just being able to communicate. I mean, we're communicating here today. I don't see how that relates to the goals that you have.
Well, the idea is if we found a way to communicate, then maybe you'd find some willingness within you to cooperate. And if I had someone like you cooperating with me, someone on my team, holy shit, those asshats, the public servants, man, they don't know what they're ready. Especially if we could have a team like with Paul and Wizard and me to deal with this stuff. And there's others who said they want to help, but I'm waiting for the first person to step up. It's
So
funny.
you could understand why I'm not going to, I and the Wizard don't always completely agree. I don't always see eye to eye with him with his remedy and relief for situations. With that said, I think that we're bonded in a unified principle that we're free beings and have personal choice and don't have to perform with their processes and procedures to be deemed non-criminal.
Agreed.
So yeah, with that said, don't you see the value in at least knowing, not about knowing, about developing a perspective that is akin to myself or the Wizard in the sense of how can we all work together completely if when certain situations come up, you may not know how to, and I'm presuming here that you may not know how to approach it or what to say or do because you have not put yourself completely into that lifestyle, not necessarily the US code and memorizing it. I don't, you see the differences in myself and Wizard and how we approach it, but it's still the same like lifestyle, right? We kind of live it and breathe it is what I want to believe that about him. I can't really, I don't know what he does away from the screen. I can only speak for myself completely. So I live and breathe this stuff. It's my lifestyle. You could call me crazy, but you can't call me a fraud. So I have to know that anybody I'm working with is completely thrown in with this and willing to go to a box or die in order to secure rights, property, freedom, and principles.
The only one who can convince you is you. So this is what I've seen. What I heard from you is that you haven't, and paraphrasing just from what I understood, okay? But you can't imagine someone like me being able to stand when put under pressure. And I can understand the apprehension. I can understand the distrust. But an imagined scenario, instead of actually trying, that's what our egoic mind does, man. It imagines excuses and reasons to distrust.
Yeah, I'd rather talk about what we perceive of each other rather than doing the whole we're going to diagnose each other, because you know where that ends, right? If you tell me I'm being egoic and then I have personality disorder, well then I'm going to say, well, you do too, and here's why, and then you're going to throw me the fuck out.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily imagining anything. Again, I've had experience with you. It has nothing to do with right now necessarily, but I have to know that going forward that anything could be thrown at you and you could throw something back, whether you do it in a loving way or an angry cot way. I'm not really as much interested other than whoever's around me can, be on the ball, right? Be on the balls of their feet, stand their position, rebut the presumptions and assumptions, and or clarify and take accountability for the response. That's all we are all practicing here, essentially. I would think on these panels, that's what needs to be practiced if we're not doing it actively.
I understand that, Paul. I guess the distinction is I've recognized the limits of my control. And I can happily explain to you the several times I've had law enforcement confronting me, and I've got plenty of those standing up and standing on what's true. I've got plenty of those interactions as well. You have not seen those, but
make like the Mayflower and come across with them, Jack. Let's see them. Put those fuckers out there. If you've got some video,
the reason it's being brought up is Paul expressed his distrust in what my ability might be, and that would be what prevents someone like us, me and him, working together. Well, yeah, I don't have the I don't have the footage. I have the experiences where I do not back down. I've grown in my as I said, in my temperance and ability to control my emotions. And Paul, thank you. You've played a good part in that.
Well, that's all. I mean, again, part of it's for effect, part of it's for entertainment to keep the energy high. Part of it is a simulation, a facilitation. Again, I could do every broadcast like this in this mode if everybody thinks that this is what they need to feel safe. I contend that when folks feel the least safe is when they make the most mistakes. So why we wouldn't practice on these panels, heightening the energy, engaging in authentic controversy and conflict through conversation, in order to resolve and to master our triggers and emotions is beyond me. It's like folks are so interested nowadays in having a safe space where they're validated or enabled in their weakness rather than challenged to rise to an occasion.
Let me EBT, I saw you in the back, but you didn't connect, so I didn't bring you up.
Elaborate on that, Paul. What you trying to tone it down for the audience?
Yeah, no, you're not going to get me thrown out of here because obviously Jack was about to speak, and if I go to expounding because you asked me to, he's going to feel a loss of control and power.
Damn it! I tried to set you up. I fucking tried.
No, I know you guys are always trying to set me up, and I usually just give you what you need. Right? Well, but I can see through it.
Here's the thing: is that I'm not looking for that safe space. I'm not looking to be enabled. But at what point, Paul? At what point am I tested enough that okay, I'll accept you for how you are or what you're doing? At what point?
Well, in my experience, when there is no more reaction to the words because the truth has been reconciled. Again, if you call somebody a pedo pogo, it doesn't really affect them as much as it does the guy who feels like they're a pedo pogo. So I get it. All the enablers will probably immediately start saying he's gaslighting. He's gaslighting. I've never said anything that I perceive as a lie or false. I just give an uncomfortable perspective that seemingly folks don't want to look at because I know it's going to trigger something in them. I can feel what it would trigger in them. The same thing it would trigger in me. So it's the same thing like with the house. I can come in and with a calm tone for some reason ask Jack about the house. If I come in with a different tone and say, hey, the fucking house, you're going to lose it. It's still the same intention. I'm trying to bring awareness to his situation for him to do and be better. You could just argue one approach is tough love and one approach is lovey-dovey, so to speak, cupcakey.
Hey, and you're right. My reactions to the questions are on me. And I've used the excuse for myself, in the reactions is I know my bigger picture. And so I'd lost sight that you guys are just seeing a little bit of me, but it's like for a long time, and I'm not complaining, I'm not playing victim or anything, but the facts show there's been a lot of people who've wanted to fucking kick me when I'm down and are betting on my failure.
So what can you do with that?
Fucking failing.
Right. But my question's always going to be like I would with myself. What can I do with this to make me better? Right. You see that obviously it's not a competition, but I have equally, if not more people betting on me failing, wanting me to fail, trying to make it happen. and then characterizing it as already happened. So
It's
do you
the-
think that I'd let them people into my inner space, or do I just alchemize it and use it and tell them keep hating? You know, if they
I
weren't
told
hating,
you,
I
Paul.
wouldn't be in the conversation.
Hey, I've learned a lot from you, both from experience, and learning and watching your example. I've learned a lot.
the last
Blessed are those who are persecuted, right, Talcott? Doesn't the scripture say that? So if we're going to walk in the way of the Christ of being, then the more we get persecuted, the more we must know that there's something on the end of this, even if we have to go through hard times in between to be revealed more, right?
the last several days you've been talking about stoicism, Jack, and I mean the epitome of stoicism is taking responsibility, taking that accountability. Being a man means looking at whether someone else you think may be responsible for it. You played a role. You have to take that accountability.
Scott, have you heard me deny responsibility?
I'm not saying that you're denying it, but you do.
Well, then
deflect
what
it.
the fuck is your
You
point?
deflect it. You're okay. You're in a rare form. Let's see where we can go with that.
Well, Scott, I'm really curious about you.
Okay.
You're showing, in my opinion, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I'm seeing more of your duplicity. I know you've been since day one up on Paulie, how wonderful he has been, and you've told me many, many, many times that I should be listening to him, that I should be deferring to Wizard. And Scott,
I said that you should pay attention to what they're saying, because I don't think when you dismiss some of the stuff they're saying, you actually know how credible it is. Now, that hasn't happened in the last several months. I haven't even been a part of this. All right. But in the past, I have said that. And I'll probably go and double down and say, I do think you've come a long way, but you still miss some of those points. And what
hey,
Paul's
Scott.
saying right here,
Hi, Scott.
excuse me.
Why?
What Paul was just because I was speaking. Is that
Right. You don't care that you're inaccurate, though. So
Well,
please go ahead.
if I might finish, Paul was just saying that if he wants somebody riding shotgun with him, he wants them to have the same frame reference or reference of information, so that he's not getting tripped up, or they're not getting tripped up, because they don't understand what's going on when it comes to the basic tenements of rights, freedom, and principles, and the legal law society that we have out here that's going fucking AWOL. All right. Now, I'm not saying you don't know or you haven't had those experiences, and whether or not you have, it does. You say you have, I believe you. Take you at your word. The key to it is to continue that, to stand up and say, I'm not going to put up with being persecuted with your trivial fucking tribunal laws. I mean, that's, they're not even laws. We're talking about policies.
Scott, now may I interrupt?
Please go ahead, Jack.
You're saying a lot that's not relevant. Okay. You're once again, you're telling me what happened, as though I'm assuming within you came to the conclusion that I don't understand what Paul is saying once again. And so, Scott, the reason I brought up the past conversations and your past adulation for Paul is because it's being shown again. I'm questioning what is your motive.
Undulations. I don't
What?
know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I'm questioning what is your motive, because so far on this panel, I'm talking about freedom from emotional bonds. I'm talking about world peace. I'm talking about God, the same stuff I usually talk about. And you come up to tell me faith without works, faith without action. So you're revealing to me that you think I'm not taking actions. Then there was another one which just set this off. And so, Scott,
I ain't saying a
know.
word. You'll just pull the plug. I'm not going to say anything, so I'm quiet.
Probably a good idea, Scott. But you know what? It's your choice. If you're just going to sit there
I don't
silent
mean
in order to
anything.
keep
I
the
don't
same
mean any
opinions.
harm by this, Jack.
I know.
The point that you're taking out of it is not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is if you want to meet Paulie on the field, he's saying you got to come more than halfway, and you haven't made it halfway, is my opinion. In that, where it comes to understanding that wizard esque or
Scott,
that Paulie
okay,
esque.
you don't know my understanding. So
True,
I don't think you've made it to that even halfway. And there's no fucking clear goal line with Paul. I mean, the very first excuse was that I got $300 a month, right? From the VA. So how you doing, Jesse?
Good evening, Jesse.
Hi, everybody.
I'm focused on the future, guys. But this nonsense of coming out to kick Jack and find faults and just all sorts of disagreements, ask yourself why.
I don't see it that
Who
way.
is it serving, Scott? What do you
trying to
expect me
kick
to
you.
receive?
If you perceive it that way, I'm honestly not intending to do that. Okay, my intention is, I said just what I said earlier, that Paul is a fan, and you might even call it somewhat of an addiction to you, and vice versa. I think you might have the same towards him because of the subject matter, because of the different personalities that come in between you. I don't know. But how do you make the content get better rather than worse? And is it possible to get it better? Well, there's a lot of intellect. So I would suggest, yeah, it's fucking definitely possible and likely. But you got to get over some of this fucking bullshit where,
Hey,
Jack,
Scott.
you feel hurt all the time.
Hey, Scott, I don't feel hurt. Quit projecting your bullshit. Look at the comment. Please acknowledge the comment.
Listen, what do you want me to say? I've seen some of that. And
please acknowledge the comment, what it says.
You want me to read it
I'd
out?
like to acknowledge the
Not
comment.
realize that Paul encouraged his followers to unsubscribe to Jack. Okay, from Jack.
Do you understand?
We're not going to observe the fact that it was after weeks and months of constantly being thrown to the back like a rag doll, and blocked in chat by various mods, unable to have any kind of functional, healthy communication.
Is that what it was? Nope.
Well,
that was also, let's not ignore Paul's patterns of behavior. Okay, today, Paul, thank you. Thank you, sincerely. I don't want it to go unrecognized. I see that you're participating and you're cooperating, and it is genuinely appreciated.
Right. And once again, we were seemingly having a calm and cordial and concise conversation until we brought in third-party interlopers and intermeddlers to be interpreters. So again, we just have to become aware of that dynamic.
Actually, you're right.
Like but that dynamic has gone on for a while, division. Right? Like you and I talking, we can pretty much get it done, even if we disagree. Once we start bringing in the panel members, it's like true sides time. It's like tribalism time. It's like old wounds time. It's like unresolved trauma, conflict time.
Yep, that's what.
And they're going to like stoke that fire as much as possible, directly or indirectly. So,
Paul, look how that just got turned around. But the real reason I came up was I literally heard you being told that, you know, you're alone, or you saying something to the fact of you felt alone all by yourself. And I came up with the intention of going, "Oh, Jack, you're not alone." I was even thinking about Michael Jackson's "You're Not Alone," you know, and I don't know why.
Right, but Jack feels alone in his life, and he's communicated many times why that is the case. So why we're online pretending like this is going to be a substitute or sublimation for an experience he's having is, in a way, selfish, because you're projecting onto him why he shouldn't feel alone.
Well, I mean, I'm projecting on him.
Can you guys stop talking about me?
Well, that's the thing. I prefer to just talk to you, but apparently we've done the third party thing. Talk about Paul when he's right next to us.
You know what? You're right. Scott, thanks for joining. I respect and appreciate your observations, but they were creating issues. Yeah.
Mr. Talcott.
Snafu, your sound is pretty bad. What's up?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. What's up?
I just want to say one thing. This has nothing to do with Paul or you. I'll continue to listen to you guys. I think it's good. But OTW, I don't know why you're backing out on the challenge on the debate against Mr. Talcott if you think he's such a bad character and bad this and a waste of time. So we went to Benton's, and OTW's kind of cowering out on the debate. Mr. Talcott said challenge accepted. So it's on OTW
Right,
if he's going to take
stoking fake controversy, because at the root of all this is a genuine care for Jack and a belief.
Well, you were yesterday telling everyone to unsub from Jack. I'm not trying to start anything, but that's what you said yesterday.
That's exactly what you're all trying to do. You're doing it in the chat. You're doing it up here.
Your actions.
If we're in the now, as is always said, why are we focusing on the bit non-bit of unsubscribe to Talcott? Because of the reality that he would not let me appear here in chat or on panel. It's ridiculous.
Hey, Paul. Okay. All right. So, Snafu, I put you in the back partially because your audio really sucks. But the other part is thank you for getting this conversation started. What I'm not speaking for others, but I know my intentions of bringing this up, Paul, is I have yet to see you I've yet to see you as an example of someone who accepts accountability. So you just said it. You perceived a pattern of disrespect from me, oblivious to your participation, but let's play that through. I disrespected you for too long. And so you coordinated with other people online.
Can I just be clear about what my feelings are about it? I don't feel disrespected at the deepest level, like away from the if you want to call it.
Then what was your motive for causing my subscriber count to drop? What was your motivation?
The truth.
Huh?
I think you're disrespecting yourself on this broadcast constantly in the truth. I just happen to be one of the participants
based on
involved.
What facts? Let's explore that.
Based on the fact that there's a repeated pattern here when folks say things that either you don't agree with or you don't like, you get emotional about, and you get controlling and domineering and triggered and throw people out and ban people in chat. And again, many of these people have been
that's the totality of what you see. And so because you disagree with the way I keep order on or attempt to keep order in my fashion, because you don't agree with that, you felt the need I guess we're competing against each other. You wanted to make sure I failed or I was punished.
I don't see order within the being.
Yeah, Paul, you know what, Paul? Have a good afternoon. Paul, when you learn how to become accountable for your vindictive nature, the truth is, Jack, yeah, I got in my feelers or I didn't like it. Started with OTW. I mean, you and him fucking lashed out at me for no reason. Couple of little egoic bitches, Paul. So, when you learn how to hold on, let me finish the thought, please. Paul, when you learn how to accept accountability for your behavior, you will finally be worthy of working with someone like me. You've proven untrustworthy. You've proven to be duplicitous. You've proven to be selfish, Paul. Sorry, please go ahead, John Thomas.
I was just going to say that, I think Paul's expressing a desire that we all have. You know what I mean? He's saying he wants to know who's going to ride to die, who's going to not throw up the flag of surrender when the moment of truth comes. You know what I mean? But and at the same time, there can only be one, just like on Highlander. You know what I mean? When in God's opinion, when this is over, there can only be one person that actually, you know what I mean, that did what he gets the number one prize. So at the same time, there's no way we can ever know who's on the same page with us because we can't be on the same page. You know what I mean? We
But
could never
wait. I'm sorry to interrupt, John. I think we must find ways to be on the same
get
page
close.
because we are on the same time.
We can get
We're on the
close.
same timeline together. Whether if we're meeting, we are.
Sort of, but I mean, just like those stars in that background. I mean, how many of those real bright stars do you see that are right up on each other real close? You know what I mean? It's, I mean, we can only get close to the same page in the end. And I think right now we want to all be on the same page, but close is good enough in my book. That's what I say.
How
I
can
know,
we get
I
on
know
the
we-
same page when we can't work out the conflicts, right? You know, Scott wasn't being unreasonable at all. Like he was just chatting with you with some of the things that you saw, and then you kind of freaked out. And Paul was definitely very cordial this whole time, more than I've seen. And you know, but you get to this place, and I have to go. We'll see a different time, okay, Jack?
Fascinating. So Jesse patiently waited to speak criticisms against me again. God bless you, Jesse. Thank you. Thank you for your observation and your opinion. I'm sorry you didn't see what I saw, and I'm happy to share with anyone who wants to know what I saw. But here, Scott.
Love
I
to
know you
share it.
feel
Love
you.
to hear you share it.
I know you feel you've done nothing wrong today.
Go on, I'm listening.
Well, so do you feel I was out of line?
Well, I want to know what I did first.
Thank you. What I felt offended by is, as I explained, the presumption that I am demonstrating faith without actions. And then again, you've minimizing what Paul has been doing, which is what Jesse then did as well. It's like I'm expected to have the forgiveness of Christ, the perfection of Christ, but
May
I
I ask you?
receive no trust
May I ask
and
you?
very, very little respect, Scott.
Not trying to be disrespectful. May I ask you a question? Did Paul not lead you in a direction of you had an impending date of potential problems coming your way with your situation? I don't want to get into it because it's not my business, but there was a certain point in time that you referred to, well, I have faith that things will work out. And I, knowing that the calendar is interesting in the way it just keeps ticking by, those days turn into weeks, turn into months quickly. And my thought process went right to faith is good, but you got to do more to help yourself than pray. Now, I'm not saying that to be
Okay, so
rude.
Scott, so do you think I don't do anything but pray? What else do you think I'm doing besides praying? I'm
You have
trying to
told-
find a relevance, okay? So I'm
Okay.
assuming this is supposed to have relevance to me.
A
This is
job
why I
is-
interrupted you.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what is the outcome that you're desiring. But if the outcome
You
that
don't know the outcome I'm
on
desiring?
on the grand scale, but we're talking about just now with a place to live, your home, your scenario that you
Scott,
guys have
you don't
mentioned.
see the connection to all my other goals and my housing situation. You don't see the connection to any of them.
Can I suggest something? One of
What?
the things. Can I suggest
What
something?
the fuck are you doing? Yeah, go ahead.
I've seen a lot of people in my life that are, what people would expect would be quite successful, and they're just not, because they take and they put all their plate, their problems on a plate and pile them all together, rather than clearing off their desk and putting one pile of one problem in front of them, okay, and working through that. So when you are saying I have this issue where I want to end wars and, end secrets and stuff, and then you at the same time say on my desk I'm also working on trying to find out how to solve my living situation. Those aren't the same battles at all, and nor should they even be considered on the same day or the same time. They're completely different. The one is necessity, the other is wish and want. Okay. And I can't be any more your friend than to tell you this, Jack. And if you want to fall asleep on it, then you're just disregarding simple facts that I'm trying to help you with. I mean, this is
okay, what help do you think I'm receiving? What the
I
fuck
don't know.
are
Have
you?
you
See,
thought
you're talking. You think you're offering value, but I'm clearly not picking up what you think you're putting down. So what do you think I'm supposed to be receiving from you?
okay, how
If I was to take your advice, what would be different in what I do?
I would consider getting a job. I would consider getting some source of income. Like instead of telling people that you were going to rent a room and the people that you already know, I'd take out an ad in the paper, room for rent. I'd put it on, offer up or Facebook Marketplace, room for rent, and not try and find somebody to move in. Find a stranger. Don't befriend them. Put them in their room and let them pay you. Give them kitchen.
Oh, Scott, I need money for my problems. Money is what I need.
Why don't you
Fuck
tell me
you,
what you need?
Scott.
What
I'm
is that?
sorry.
It
I'm
is that
at the limit of
slow
my
down,
patience.
slow down. Why?
Yeah,
Why
you're
is that
not
happening?
thinking, Scott, and you're not
Well,
thinking. You're telling
let's take
yourself
your
you're helpful, and you're not.
my apologies. Let's take your intention for this stream, and I'll forget what we've said. Move forward in a different direction. Right here, Joe'd be happy to do that. I'm sure. Well, who gives a fuck about Joe?
Yeah, I ain't heard a word y'all said, bro. I just
So
hopped
just take
on when I saw it.
what is your intended discussion for tonight, Jack? Let's move in that direction and don't look back.
Freedom from the emotional bonds. Freedom from the limiting beliefs.
Jack, I was literally just watching something before I saw you on here. And the video, literally the last thing they said before I hopped on here was that I know it's uncomfortable. What we have to search for is freedom from emotion in our decisions. I know people don't want to hear about that, but that's how it's done in places big places, courtrooms, political arenas where countries are at stake. You get rid of the emotion, and the first shit you just say is that signs and symbols are for the conscious mind.
Synchronicity.
Synchronicity, yes.
Hey, sorry to change the topic, but
I don't know the topic is.
I appreciate this from Ageless Timeless Being. This is what I see too. An aspect of this loop is a number of people telling Jack about Jack, deciding what is important to and for Jack, what he should be doing, what he should not be doing. And it's like,
everybody gets that, right, Jack? That's just what people do. Everybody run my woman, my woman's friends, my friends. They all tell me what I need to be doing. Oh my God. Don't get me started. Especially that cop watching shit.
It's the patterns of the ego. It's the way the world has conditioned people to think. People worship fucking opinions. And so they think their opinion has value.
I think their opinion has value. I hate that they think their opinion has value. I'm okay with thinking it has value. And when they do these arrogant things, I still don't get outside of myself. I control those emotions. It doesn't bother me that this guy is telling me what to do as if it's his business, if he knows better. I don't let that shit. I still give him an ear and weird shit like that. I don't get, hey, God, you stop it. I don't do that tough stuff.
Yeah, I know, and I do. Part of my frustration is the lack of respect for time. People think they're helping, and so they go on and on and on with this opinion that has no relevance.
Hey, Joe, I think he's talking about you.
I think he's talking about you. I must have missed something good.
I'm sure I'm guilty of it too. It's something we do. It's when our ego insecurities, we want to present ourselves as value. And so
Yes.
So we go on, but opinions, the only as far as opinions, unless they have information and facts,
Yeah.
they're fucking worthless. Okay, the fact is you think that, but so what? So what that you think that? It doesn't change my situation. It doesn't change what is real. The society profits
Are you
from,
saying a motherfucker shouldn't even offer their opinion? It sounds like you're saying.
well, I've said this before. Dishonest people, right? The satanic antichrist energy.
Jeez, okay.
It's the opposer. It's the accuser. So
yes.
the accuser, how much, I mean, think about what you know of the criminal justice system and the way this society works. Think about how much time is wasted just from accusations, preparing and defending from accusations. So what an honest, let me get to the point. What an honest person does is they share the facts. They say, hey, Jack, I saw you, on several times. It seemed several times when people disagreed with you, you reacted and you put them in the back. It seems to me that you get offended by disagreements or you get offended by criticism. With facts, the opinion can be understood. But instead, I get people running around with this narrative. Jack gets emotional when you disagree with him. No.
It's not a narrative. It's kind of real.
There is some truth to it, but it's not the fucking totality of me.
Of course it's not. Of course it's not. No one is saying it's the totality. Actually, we have some enemies that probably do say it's the totality of you, right? Of course it's not the totality of you. So I was gonna say, if someone tells you that, just consider it and blah blah. But it changes when people have been telling you that's the totality. This is the totality of you. All you are is a emotional so and so.
Personalities, Jack, and just that's one of them.
Okay, and again, I'll recognize my part in it, but for the love of God, please consider just for a moment my perspective. Right? By the time I usually do, well, I know that it's been different, but there's been days where I've just had a fucking gauntlet. One asshole after another asshole insulting me and arguing with me. Right. I think I've done pretty good.
Stop for a minute and remember your perspective of where people are coming from is not, it's a perception when you think you know what they're thinking. So it's perception that you think I'm attacking you when I'm not. I'm trying to, work the wheelhouse on what's been said and how I'm remembering it and what I can get my point across through, word magic, if you will. So
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I understand that, Scott, and you're right. I'm trying to do better. Paul brought it up earlier. Sometimes I have a tough time communicating with people where they are or
nobody's perfect, but I would suggest this. Excuse me for interrupting this thought, but just try and keep calm. That's the best thing we can do for each other. Try and keep calm.
Yeah, it would be nice if others would help me try and keep calm. Maybe calm down some of the people that fucking attack me once in a while. But hey, we're calm, and you're right. It's observation.
Can you control another person to make them help you?
You only have your ability.
The answer is no. You can not control another person. All you can control is yourself. So if another person doesn't help you, that's outside of your control. It's nothing to use to lose a second of thought or anxiety or anger, any of that shit, right? You focus on you till you can make yourself happy. You can't search for anything outside. When you do that, If someone offers some assistance, I don't give a fuck if they offer it 99 times, and at 100 time they don't, you don't get to complain. Those 99 times were a gift, right? And that one time, you don't get to complain, right? You're alone, you're dolo, you're responsible for all of that shit on your own. Then you run into some people, where all people are people. Sometimes we're what you might think are shitty, and sometimes we may be what you might think is helpful. But we owe you nothing. We owe you
Hey,
nothing.
Joe, you're
Yeah.
right. That was a lesson it took me a while to learn, because
Yeah.
I thought my union brothers and sisters owed me. I thought my son and I thought my friends owed me.
You still
Well,
do. Go ahead.
They don't owe me shit, and as far as I know, I'm dead to them. So,
I was talking about friends, family, everybody, even on here. Just the reason I brought that up is because you say it'd be nice if somebody helped me. It didn't sound like you're saying it would be nice. Sound like you said, "Motherfucker, owe you that."
no,
Be nice if you paid me that $20 you owe me.
Joe, yes, it would be nice if someone saw solutions or saw the solutions I have for my problems. It would be nice, but nobody has to join me. Nobody has to help me. I understand that, and I'm not asking for that. But I wanted to come back to what Scott was saying.
Yeah.
Part of my frustration is I'm already happy. Okay. I'm not fooling myself with my happiness. I'm not playing some stupid game. I'm not the way people have been describing me. And I know for a fact if people tried to understand me better, they wouldn't be giving me so much damn advice.
I wouldn't put so much stock in that. I've spent a hell of a lot of time trying to understand you, and all it encourages me to do is give you more advice.
That's on you. I don't know.
It's not a bad
point
thing. It's on you because you perceive advice as an attack. It's
You're
on
asking
you.
for help. That's a double-edged sword, Jack. You're saying you're asking for help, but then you won't take advice.
Go back to my original question that you never answered.
Hold on. Sorry.
No.
Advice is worthless if it has no fucking relevance or value to the receiver. Okay?
Yeah,
if there's no value to be found in the advice, you're not fucking helping me.
If we come up with 4 ideas that suck and it was nice of you the way you took them and rejected them kindly, you might get the 5th that was a home run. But if you take 1, 2, 3, 4 and you shit on them all, why are we going to think about solving the problem again?
Yep. Why should I even allow people in my experience who can't accept me, who can't see the value I'm offering, and think my time on here is best spent receiving their fucking criticisms and advice?
You probably shouldn't be talking to those guys, but none of those guys are on panels right now.
Well,
the guys who are right now, the guys who are on here right now do see that you offer a thing. None of us has ever, at least I know I haven't, and most of the people I know have never thought otherwise. So apparently that statement was for someone else, is not for us.
Where do you think my
our advice,
what? I'm just wondering where he thinks my loyalties lie. They're to myself and no one else. I got no doubt.
I know.
Obviously,
Scott, that's your fucking problem, Scott.
No, I'm trying to help you. I can't be loyal to you if I'm not loyal to me first. Fuck.
Oh my God. Would you please trust what I'm saying?
No.
Selfishness is a disease.
What's a disease?
Selfishness.
Yeah.
There. Edging God out.
My name is Big Ego.
You might be one of the cats he was just talking about.
No, not Big Daddy down there. It ain't him.
that he says doesn't appreciate his value, all those things. I'm guessing this is the cat who you was talking about.
No, I was talking about Scott, but it applies many places. Guys, we don't have to make our lives more difficult. We don't have to be at war with each other. There's greater enemies, and it's not the beings, it's not the flesh and blood. The enemy is those thought patterns, those beliefs.
I think you're
Enemy
preaching.
within.
I think you're preaching to the choir on those things.
10-4 there.
It's the emotional strongholds. I admit
Earlier,
my reactive patterns, but I'm not driven by emotions other than drawn by love. I'm drawn by the belief of what I think can be accomplished. That's why I do these streams every day, is I believe that somehow, some way, maybe seeds of thought are being planted and shared, and eventually maybe we can have a world without oppression and genocide, where secrets and lies are not fucking defended, where we can get along. Right, Paul?
Sure.
Jack, I want to say that I think you are doing the most important thing you could be doing right now, because I think we're so late in the game that all we can. As I was telling Crunchy B this the other night, you know what I mean? He was, he finally. I was saying we've never needed a savior more than now, and he said, "Well, that's not true." But then he eventually made my point, because he was saying Google can hear us and all this, and that's what. And then I said, well, you just made my point, brother. You know what I mean? The only hope we have is that they're listening to you and me right now, and they get convicted. That's the only hope we have, is that we'll convict somebody.
How does that mean you need a savior, though?
Well, he was saying, well, I mean, if everything I do, they've thrown up a roadblock, Joe. You know what I mean? At every turn, how am I going to get around it? If the whole world's in agreement, those roadblocks should be there.
So we do need a savior. Is that what you're saying?
Hell yeah, I need a savior.
And how'd you make that jump to Google as your savior? Is what I was curious about.
Well, that's what Crunchy was saying. He was saying, "Oh, well, you better be careful. That StreamYard's a part of Google and da-da-do-da-do." And I said, well, there you go, man. Don't you see? You've already admitted. You know what I mean? You need to be saved.
So the world is scary, therefore one needs a metaphysical daddy.
Google, I think, is what he's saying.
Not a metaphysical daddy. I mean,
it helps. faith in the spirit beyond, it truly helps.
It does.
And right, but that thing is in us and guides and leads and protects us and reveals to us for us to play the part, not to wait for somebody else to say
that part. That
Amen.
part.
Of course.
Opportunities exist for us every day. Hey, and Simple Jack, most people who join the panel are independents and will never follow you, Jack. Do you see that? Yes. And that is true. The people who have come up, while I've butt heads with a number of them, and I've it's been what it's been. There's some very strong and great people, some wonderful people have found their way.
You would have to ask Simple. I didn't mean to cut you off there. Well, you have to ask Simple Jack, what makes him think that anybody who is in a leadership position, as Jack claims to be, would want necessarily other people who are followers.
That was the obvious
rather than also having leaders with him, right? So again, there's weakness in numbers if motherfuckers are not strong within themselves.
So. There's weakness in Simple Jack's statement. The fact that he saw it as followers, and it may point to something to you too, Jack, but the fact that he said followers as opposed to you may get people willing to join and work with you speaks on something.
Collaborative.
Honestly, that's how I've approached many people, is I'm seeking other leaders to join me. And there are a lot of people who are leading leading movements, leading organizations, and there's a lot of power
All
from
right.
those
Yeah,
positions.
but I
You
watched when
realize,
you
excuse me, if you, this is a good one, Paul. If
right. I
you,
wasn't in the back for the last 30 minutes. It's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
Just go ahead. It's not like you don't
If
get time
that's,
on here, right?
if that's what you really want, is
You forgot, Joe.
people to work with you. I think I got it back. People to work with you. Then, as we're talking, all work starts within, blah, blah, blah. The way that will occur is because you will have been helped so many other people that people will start helping you. How many of other people have you helped with their projects?
I've offered my help to countless people, but
So that's
again,
zero. That's zero.
right,
Because we've
Joe.
offered our
No
help to
one
you.
has, for whatever reason,
You
I
ain't got to
have
get
been
mad. Why are you
unworthy.
yelling at me?
Slow down. Yeah, slow down, bro.
I was trying to answer. Sorry for trying to answer.
You
Don't
got
do it in a
emotional.
mean
All
tone.
right.
Yeah.
This is a pretty
Go ahead.
simple boil
Well,
down. Like most folks
It's
don't
easy
seem-
to. Sorry, the reason I guess I I felt the desire, obviously, to try and get you to listen. It's
am listening.
because that's my answers are easily if you take my answer and jump to a conclusion, it's real easy to twist it and make me look like a fucking
Why would
asshole.
you assume I would do something like that? I'm at
Because
least
you've
as
done it before
intelligent
and you
as
just
are.
did it.
Well, perhaps
My
that was
answer was zero. But the reality is I do not control what others choose to do with me.
I'm
I've
curious about
tried.
what conclusion I jumped to. Now I'm sorry. I
right.
jumped to
The
a
problem
conclusion.
is not what others are doing; it's how you're perceiving others.
Or vice versa.
Right.
Jack's
Yes.
helping everybody on this panel right now. We have a
I know,
need.
but that's over his
something
head.
off
I
our
wouldn't even
chest,
tell
and
him
he's
that.
helping us.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him. I
Right.
know it's over his head right now. He thinks he helps no one. We got to work with that for a second. No one's helped him. He's helped no one. I'm okay with him believing that fantasy
No,
stuff
I
for a moment.
I know others they've received help or inspiration from some of the things I've done and shared, and I don't
Oh, that's
deny
great. I'm curious. Have
value
you
is
received help
offered.
and inspiration from the things that we've shared? Is it a
Jack.
two-way street?
Jack.
I'm
I
trying
mean,
to
that's pretty
consider.
telling.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Wow.
I've received a lot of feedback,
Mm.
some constructive, but
Has anybody given you a
Oh.
good fucking idea?
Well, no. Let them stop it. Let them go because this is good stuff.
well,
If
ideas.
no one has no one has helped you in the sense that we receive encouragement and good advice, and we take in what you say, and we take in and we learn and build from it, and it helps us. And if
I
you
have.
haven't
Yes.
taken in stuff from us, that speaks
I'm
to
sorry.
you, correct?
I'm sorry. I answered that. You're absolutely right. The encouragement and even some of the reminders. Get out of
How
your
about helping you
feelers,
out by
Jack.
just showing you up and
Thanks
supporting
for
your broadcast?
interrupting.
Yeah, fucking A.
He added to it though, Jack. He's like, showing up is a lot of support, man. Right?
Yeah.
You get help.
Mhm.
All right. So when you ask, I could pull all these things off if I got help. You must mean a very particular kind of help, because we offer help and you get help from us and we get help from you. And it sucks, but the way we get most of that shit is encouragement, advice. That's one of the ways that you help me. I hear your advice or the advice of a couple of people talking on that panel to someone else, and it would apply to me. It looks like we get a lot of help, but you say you need help to pull this off. The help we give is not adequate.
So far, nothing has changed in my life, and I don't know what more I can do to
How many
change.
lives have you changed? I mean, did you expect something that you don't deliver yourself?
Joe, there are people I've spoken to, people with addictions. There's people who are grasping for faith in my community. There's people I can fucking help. They find I don't know. They find reasons not to follow through. It's like, hey Jack, sorry I missed last time. We'll talk Monday. Monday comes and goes. They fucking know. I'm like, and
Jack,
actually
let me
I'm
give you an
waiting for an
analogy.
answer right now from one guy.
Let
I'm
me
like,
give you an analogy.
what's
The problem
going on?
is you don't accept the answers when they're given.
Is that what the problem is, Paul?
Here, let me
That's
give you
what
an
I'm
analogy before
perceiving.
we. Let me give you an analogy. I'm so sorry to be stepping on you like this, Paul.
I know you just continually do it. I'm supposed to just
I
continue
know,
to defer to you because we're on Jack's panel. So
no, because I'm on a thread here. It's a good one. Let's say, which is still on the thread of helping others here. Let's say there's a homeless guy out there, and some people, in this instance, in this analogy, you are this type of person, will go there and say, "I'm going to help you. I'm going to buy you a suit. Are you gonna show up at biotech tomorrow? Because I know a job that they got for you, blah, blah, blah." I'm not so sure you're helping that guy. If you care for that guy, you would ask him, you would see what he needs for help. You would say, he'd probably tell you, "I don't want to work for biotech. I'd rather stay here. I don't even want to fuck with the system. You know what? Heat is something I need, maybe blankets, blah, 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 like that." Okay, the analogy to bring it to where it needs to be is you want a very particular kind of help, right? The same way that guy offered a particular kind of help, you want a particular kind of help that people seem unwilling to give. That seems to be the issue here. And I'm sorry, I'm going to shut up, Paul, especially if you talk.
A
I'm
long
going to
way
shut
around
up.
for that U-turn.
I just believe in the power and revelation of psychology, and I've witnessed twice in the middle of Jack getting emotional at me, he gave what was known as a Freudian slip and said, "You will not work for me, I mean with me." And that's the help that he wants. Is he wants folks to work for him for free most of the
Oh,
time.
you're so full of shit, Paul.
Well, I didn't even get to
narrow
finish what I
slip
was
gets
saying
this
without you getting
fucking
emotional and doing ad
conclusion.
hominem.
Paul, you're out of your mind, and I'm seriously,
You're
it's
already
time to
happy in
wind
your
it
life
down.
anyway, so I don't know why we're all talking to you like you're not happy. It's almost as if none of us believe you're actually happy in your life.
I know.
Un momento, por favor. Senor, don't do that just yet.
So, Joe, you painted a narrative there, and
Be
before
nice.
I was able
Be
to,
nice.
before I was able to even ask or challenge the false conclusions you offered, Mr. fucking,
Yes.
agent of chaos
Yeah.
has to fucking take over and throw his accusations, right? Liars.
Well,
think
Agent
everyone's
of
a
Chaos
liar,
is
Paulie.
downstairs. Let's talk more about my false conclusions.
Trying to remember what it was. It was a
You
long
you
one.
said I
I don't
painted the
want
narratives
to-
and I arrived at false conclusions. I'd really be interested in knowing what false conclusion I reached, because I try hard.
I know you do. Joe, you have been
Yeah,
a
I see
man.
wifey on the internet, wifey behind me.
Blessings.
We're
Joe,
in,
you have
Denver.
been an example for me to learn from. You've got a method of communicating.
I'm sorry, my baby. You might want to talk, John. My baby, I need to give her something. Where is it? Oh, it won't take but 1 second, Jack.
Well, I'm actually ready to wrap up anyway.
Where's Flo when you need him then? Because shit, I'm in Denver. I just got out of my man's crib and blah blah blah. So I got some time to kill. I come out here to fucking kill some time. You leave, I gotta find something else to do to kill some time. Wait for the food to get ready.
Go,
Well,
Jack. Let's kill time, if nothing else. And it
No.
calls.
All right, let's go to something. Go ahead.
I mean, I come on here every day with the faith and hope that someone does receive value from what I'm doing. And I know there are people who are.
So then
that
your shit is
motivates-
achieved every day. You should be a very happy man.
I
Okay.
am happy. And then
Okay.
Paul was just here. He was just kicked out because he wants to paint a false narrative of me that it's not possible to think I'm actually happy. I'm lying, apparently.
Let's do this. This is some grown up shit. And I'll get the worst end of this. But I would like for you and Paul to debate your things. Throw out Paul's shit, whatever false narrative you think he had of you. Let's weigh it. Let's suss it out and see if he's on to something. Because you guys are probably at the points where you're not hearing each other. So let's see if there's any validity to both of you guys' claims for the next few moments. If Paul's still downstairs.
Well, are you willing to entertain claims from the past? He's never denied or.
You throw the claim.
When I bring up,
go ahead.
The reason I ask, when I bring up things from the past, well, then I'm wrong for bringing up things from the past, but I'm trying to resolve these false narratives about me, the accusations, the misunderstandings.
Are there any in particular that we could address so we do this like amend?
I am willing to, you know what?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm willing to address and resolve many claims Paul has been made about me, but I'm not the one who's instigating the conflicts. I'm not the one who's instigating the claims and insults. So actually, realistically, shouldn't I be considered an honest man until I'm proven to be a liar? I mean,
yes, most motherfuckers who make accusations, it is incumbent upon them to bring the burden of evidence.
Okay, well, repeatedly, Paul has called me a liar.
Okay, that's
and
a good one.
Scott's reacting in the back.
Bring Paul up. I want to know the lie.
Well,
what's the lie?
I'm just wondering what the fuck I did.
So I've not characterized Jack Talcott as necessarily an active liar. What I've said is I perceive that his perception is skewed, and as such,
that's not what you said.
You've
called me a liar.
Hold on, please. We're gonna do this like men.
Yep.
All right. Go ahead, Paul.
Regardless
Yeah, go ahead.
Regardless of even what I've said verbatim, I'm willing to retract that if I have said it. Okay. I don't think that Jack necessarily actively, willfully lies. He may or may not. I think it's more likely with what I've seen that he has a altered perception of himself and reality, separate from what I guess others perceive of him and reality. And therefore, when he speaks, folks get the impression he's being less than truthful. I characterize it as delusional.
I'm sorry, give me 1 second because I asked. I was serving some subpoena papers and shit. I gotta sign some papers, but there's no hurry. Okay.
So perception is in question here, not necessarily honor.
Thank you.
Paul,
and none of these are claims either because I can't prove anything. I'm just speaking my.
All right, we're gonna try right now to suss it out whether you have any validity to that. Jack, I think you deserve a chance to respond first, and it's gonna be sucky, but a couple of these panel members are gonna have to weigh in with logic, not just your opinion. When you weigh in, you must have something like Jack spoke earlier. You niggas don't come with facts. I don't know whether I agree with it or not, but that's what we're gonna do. You're gonna give an example of why you give that opinion. I'm sorry. Did you want to respond, Jack?
His narrative is false. He's absolutely called me a liar, and now he
No. We're off of the lie shit for a moment. I'm sorry. We're sussing out his accusation that your perception is skewed, and I think I know where he's going with this. I think we all do. For instance, with Scott's main shit, I don't want to jump.
Please.
I don't want to.
Well, he wants to accuse me of being delusional. His choice of words, where I allege the definition of delusional is the belief in things that are not real. Paul clearly demonstrates the patterns of egotism, selfishness. He's repeated. Matter of fact, what day was it? Just the other day, he was saying how he says nothing wrong. He plays a bit and a character, but
Right.
when
got
it
a bunch there.
regards me,
Yeah.
when it regards me,
Yeah.
he has absolutely spent hours mocking me, ridiculing me,
All right.
and most recently encouraging all of his viewers
Yes.
to unsubscribe and stop
All right, hold
showing
on.
me support.
Hold on. You got a lot there. Let's
Yep.
spend at least a couple minutes, at least just a very small amount of time addressing yours, and then we'll pick something there for you to address. I suggest it was the last thing you said about him mocking you, but you pick any one of them and we address that. Paul's shit, I'll address it as a viewer opinion being skewed.
Please.
Perhaps you're a little hard on Paul when you say that he is giving a false narrative. And I don't know if you say this, you call him a liar, because sometimes he may be giving you his real opinion of you. Taking into consideration, he's a guy who can't stand you. And I'm not saying these things are true, but this is where you coming from. He's a guy who can't stand you, hounds you, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't mean he can't be right every fucking once in a while.
He admits no wrongs.
All right, wait, that's getting on to him. I wanted to get on to your sussing out.
Okay,
Let's
so
get on.
how am I delusional?
All right. No. I'm not the best person for it. I think we spent enough time. Next thing you come with, Paul. Come with some facts to back it up. Jack, you're a complaint against Paul that you think he's wrong about.
Were you
As
saying I said you were delusional, or Paul said that?
No one said you.
Okay.
Well,
Go ahead. Who's
hi,
that?
Jack. Nice to meet you again. I've never been in your in your room here. Well, thank you for having me. Scott, nice to meet you. Paul, nice to see you.
T-Bexx.
Joe Cool, nice to meet you. And John Thomas, a pleasure to see you again. You know, I think like we could start with the statement like I allege the definition of delusion to be, Jack, like, and I'm not trying to come at you with anything. It's just even the language. Yeah, even the language of alleging a definition of something to be, like, are we so far in this truth or looper stuff that we are actually like making statements like that? No offense to you. Like it's like we're not listening to ourselves speak, you know?
Bexx. You're speaking, then you're saying no offense. So you obviously internally know that what you're saying actually has no relevance. So you chose to disagree because I offered a definition of a word. You hear how
you alleged a definition of a word. Like there either is a definition of a word or there isn't. Like
what is your problem with that specifically?
Well, it's just about being.
You can make up your own definitions for words, and
yeah.
Do you have a disagreement with the definition I offered?
No, I have a disagreement with the way you offered it as an alleged thing. Like there either is the definition of delusion or not, Jack. Like you can't allege it.
So what is your fucking point?
I think her point is that just that word use
you're bringing nothing but just argumentative energy. I don't fucking know you, and for you to come over and say good to see you again, this may be our first conversation, but I've seen you participating in the gaslighting and bullshit. So
is this loving Jack right now in this moment or what?
It's loving myself because that creature has no part of my experience until today, and what is being offered I don't find relevant or helpful.
So when King Jack doesn't get whatever he wants offered to him, he just kind of offs with the head?
Well, Paul, this is my platform.
All right, Jack, on that note, I'll see you later, all right? Enjoy yourself over here in your false power online. I'll see you later, all right?
Go play victim. Go ahead.
There's no victiming. It's just
boring. I'll help you out. Take your happy ass out.
You made me thirsty. Where are my fucking juices and pops and shit?
You know what? I am going to shut it down. Scott, I intend no disrespect to you. I realize maybe you felt some or received some, but For
make
this,
me come up there. Don't
for
make
this
me
to
come up there.
continue with Paul's behavior unchecked, but you guys want to dogpile more criticisms onto me. It's like, holy shit. All right. Well, you can't convince the convinced, and there's no resolve with the disagreeable. So I'm feeling maybe it may be time. It's time for some changes for myself. I pray changes are found for each of you as well. Changes that lead you to a better life and a better future.
If I get a last word in here, it would be you ended up with you hope some changes, and you fucking threw me off a little bit there. I had some last words. Talk for a minute. They'll come back.
Hold on for a minute. I'll check out, and you can come up in a second and then speak your final words. Jack, sorry if I derailed you, if I sent you to, your thoughts a little bit, thinking that I was trying to come at you too. Literally just trying to come with perspective that you might not look at yourself. This isn't an attack Jack mission that I'm on or even am contemplating. Anything and everything that I'm doing when I speak to you is coming from the heart, genuinely. Okay. Not any place else. If I feel threatened or attacked, I might say something that's flippant. If I say something that's flippant, even if I was under attack, I'm likely going to apologize for trying to hurt your feelings. So I'm not trying to make you feel any sort of way other than accomplished and moving like you're moving forward. And when we do move backwards, it's oftentimes the obstacles we face are ones we end up creating ourselves. And that's just the best advice I can give you is don't put fucking shit in your own way. And that's, in other words, the people that are talking shit about you, they're going to keep talking shit about you. If you talk to them, it's only going to be to talk shit. So that's kind of the mentality. Let them talk, let them be in this chat, let them do whatever, because if they're talking about you, they're not talking about someone else. And that means you're growing your audience, because if one person talks 5 bad things about you and 25 people hear it, you might gain 11 new followers that like what you say.
I think he's saying that see a silver lining on the shitty cloud, I think is what he's saying.
Yeah, the gilded edge of the cloud. So, hey, take care and have a good one.
Thank you, Scott.
I'd say you spend a lot of time thinking about yourself. Spend some time. I hope she's driving off. The engine's kind of loud. Spend some time and do it now, thinking about others. We'll use me as an example. But this will apply to others. Yeah. So you put yourself in my shoes, take Jack up out of it, right? You come up on here. You want to see your friend. You come up here, things go good, things go well. You offer some advice. You're beneficial to him. He's beneficial to you. You're having a great conversation. And then some guy comes up here, insert guy name here. And suddenly you become y'all. You are part of the concerted effort to attack him. Suddenly your opinions, your advice, you become scolded for. The same shit that didn't mean no harm. When that energy has changed, you're going to get jumped on. And when you protest in a name of something positive or something true, you're going to end the show. All right. I hope. Go ahead.
I'm in a good spot. I realize my frustrations may show, and the idea to my goal for these streams is honestly, I hope the right word, my prayer daily My prayer daily, as I started the stream earlier, is God, please. I don't know what I am or where I'm supposed to go, so I trust the Spirit of Christ to fill me and to lead me. And before I start the stream, I won't say every time, but I did today, I pray that the right words be flowed through me, that my ego not become an interruption, that I allow God to reveal what happens, but
your ego just flowed through you. Stressed. Put yourself in someone else's shoes. Your response is about you. It's your ego is,
well,
you know.
Joe, yes. I'm very capable of putting myself in the shoes of others.
I just asked you to do it.
That's why I know for a fact I could help Paul. I could help Wizard overcome his anger. I could help a lot of those people who tell themselves they're helping me by fucking attacking me and mocking me. They are delusional, dude. They are possessed by the demonic darkness, by the agents of chaos.
I'm not going to argue
selfishness.
I'm not going to argue that they are possessed and they don't know it. They don't know what drives them when they see your face. They have a million excuses, but they don't know the thing inside them. They don't know it well that drives them to do a negative thing to you, to belittle you, or whatever it is. I'll give you that. But what I won't give you is that somehow negates if they say a truth or not. You seem to think it does. At the least, Paul has become true. You will misinterpret it because of your emotions toward them. If they did give you truth, you probably wouldn't see it. And I'll offer as facts, because I said I was going to start doing that, giving the facts. When I offer truth and the energy is good in here, it's accepted and taken in good faith. When the energy is bad in here, I can offer the same truth or the same type of truth, and it is received differently. Perhaps Paul was right, and your opinion can be skewed, in this case by emotion. I don't mean to beat up on you, man. I love you. This is why I give you what I think is true. All right, do your thing. Say goodbye to your guests. Later, John.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Take it easy, brother.
John?
You know, Christ said, freely you were given and freely give. And to me, if somebody inspires me, maybe they don't say, I mean, maybe, you know, you can't say, well, you owe me. But to me, if somebody inspires me, I do owe them. You know what I mean? If they give me a thought that gives me an idea, what if it becomes like the password to the universe? You know what I mean? And it's just something someone said. I mean, I think people that inspire us, we do owe them. You know, we're in a debt of gratitude, and that's why I come here. You know what I mean? This is an inspiring place. I mean, I like to come to live without fear. And
thank you, John.
I just want to throw that out to everybody. I think that we should feel like we owe people more than we do. I'll leave it at that.
I resonate deeply with that. Thank you, John. I may touch on that. Anything more?
No, sir. Y'all have a good evening.
Toss you the bag. Thank you, John. God bless. I mentioned that I believe it was in this stream that I recognize the blessings, the grace that God has the generosity God has graced me with, us with. This entire day was created for us to do as we wanted to do. And today, thank you. Thank you to all who joined the panel, joined the chat, maybe tune in at a later time. Thank you to you who joined. My mind lapsed. Please forgive me. Oh, one of the thoughts I wanted to get out. I mentioned it earlier. Our enemy is not flesh and blood. Okay. The enemy is not the others. The enemy is not your environment or the government. Well, the enemy is, it's the patterns of thought that control us. Because people do wicked, people do cruel when they're confused or when they're hurt. Hurt people hurt people. And it's hard to reason with someone who's hurt. Maybe maybe that's something Joe was talking about with me. I'm trying to overcome my triggers. I'm trying to overcome the sensitivity. But for the love of God, I wouldn't be sensitive if someone helped me find my son or my ex-wife or my neighbors. But praise God, it's not anyone's responsibility. No one's got to do anything for anything. Anything for anyone. No one must do anything for anyone. We're allowed to. We're allowed to live with the opportunity to grow. And the past may have been uncomfortable, it may have been fun, it may have been pleasant, it may have been tough. The past is what just brought us to today. So the true enemy of our lives is when we make these limiting beliefs become real. Like I spent years saying, I need a drink. I convinced myself I couldn't get through the day without a drink of alcohol. It was illogical, easily proven not to be true, but I was afraid of the experience. So many of us get these self-sabotaging, limiting beliefs that have come from somewhere in the past. And those thought patterns can bring feelings of unease. And this society says, ignore your feelings don't matter, blah, blah, blah. Some of that's true, but the reality is for you, your feelings matter. So recognize the enemy is not the flesh and blood, the people we don't like and the people we deal with in our lives. They're carriers of information. They are carriers and instruments, tools for experience, just like you're a tool and an instrument for the experience of others. The enemy in our realm, the true enemy that the Bible talks about, it seeks to steal, kill, and destroy. So the enemy of God is that which brings forth light, love, life. So the opposer of that seeks to steal, kill, and destroy the good things in your life. Don't allow it. Don't allow your life to become a victim of ignorance. Don't allow yourself to become blinded to the good things that are available through your day, through you. Because if the enemy of God gets into our head and starts to tell these convincing tales and starts to loop in these repetition, these arguments and excuses, these blame, this negativity, when the enemy gets in it, it will destroy your day. I spent a lot of days, sacrificed a lot of days to resentment and anger and fear. And I encourage you all, brothers and sisters, recognize beyond those fears, beyond those insecurities, when you surrender yourself to all that is, recognize that the only control you have, not on others, not on anything beyond the attention and where you focus your time, your awareness, and your attention on your thoughts, your feelings. Those become your behaviors. Your behaviors becomes your actions, your personality. It's up to each of us to bring forth a greater world. So I encourage you, let me wrap up. Thank you again for all of your attention, your patience, and your care. Golly, geez. I see some questions in the chat. Bless you, chat. Bless you, panel. I love you all. And please do the subscribe thing, hit the notification, and we'll see where the future brings us. Till next time, peace. Peace for us all, and love. Share the love with a little joy, a little gratitude for no reason, just because you can. Live without fear. Peace.